And now, for the first conference of the day, please welcome Rhonda Barnet, President and COO of AVID Manufacturing. Rhonda is the President and COO of AVID Manufacturing, formerly Steelworks Design, an engineering and customs automation firm in Peterborough, Ontario. An ardent supporter of Canadian manufacturing and exporting, Rhonda was appointed the first female chair in history of the Canadian manufacturers and exporters from 2016 to 2018. Rhonda currently serves CME in the role of immediate past chair and the chair of the Workforce of the Future. She maintains an active schedule of government and industry engagements, including functions in Germany, Holland, Italy, China, Mexico, the United States, and Canada. Further national appointments include being one of 9 members of the Canada Economic Strategy Council, set to lead a comprehensive strategy for Canada's recovery for 2020 economic crisis, chair of the Federal Advanced Manufacturing Strategy Table, and director of Next Generation Manufacturing Canada, and GEN Canada, one of 5 Canadian superclusters to deliver $950 million of federal innovation funds. Recently, Rhonda was also appointed as the director of Palette Inc., a federal-funded pilot program around reskilling and upskilling disrupted workers for the technology jobs of the future. Rhonda was recently appointed as chair of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion of Palette Inc. Quick to recognize the potential of a strong entrepreneurial community focused on skills and education, Rhonda volunteers and champions numerous initiatives to this end. This includes work with regional manufacturers, associations, and startups organizations, community college, and economic development strategy councils. In 2016, Rhonda launched CMA's Women in Manufacturing Working Group, convened to elevate the participation and roles of women in Canadian manufacturing. In 2018, Rhonda launched CMA's We Can Do It campaign, an initiative funded in part by the federal government to add 100,000 women to the manufacturing workforce over the next 5 years. Rhonda is an international spokeswoman in diversity, women in manufacturing, skills, and the future workforce. She believes in the value of mentorship and upholds the philosophy, if you can see me, you can be me. Thank you so much, Rhonda, for being here. I am going ahead and share your video.
Thank you. As the video is being pulled up, we wanted to take you on this virtual trade mission through the sector. So we have a short video we've prepared to invite you into some of the workplaces in the automotive sector. You could turn up the volume.
Sorry?
If you can turn up the volume.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if others can't hear.
Ford, Stellantis, known by many as Fiat Chrysler, GM, Honda, and Toyota are all household names. The other thing they all share? They all build cars in Ontario, Canada, making Ontario the only place in North America where 5 major automakers build cars. These major automakers are supported by a vital supply chain of nearly 700 parts suppliers and over 500 tool, die, and mold makers, including companies like Martin Rea, ArcelorMittal Dofasco, and Magna. A few other quick facts. Canada is one of the world's top 10 producers of light vehicles. Its auto sector contributes $19 billion to GDP. And the auto sector directly employs over 125,000 Canadians out of the 1.7 million workers in the Canadian manufacturing sector. More than 80% of Canada's overall exports go to our CUSMA partners. And in the auto sector, over 90% of vehicles manufactured in Canada are exported. This can be attributed to our talented and diverse workforce that includes women at the forefront of technology and innovation.
I think Ontario is very uniquely positioned. We have some fantastic capability and talent here in Ontario. If you take a look at the automotive technology corridor from Windsor all the way to Ottawa, we have over 700 companies here in this area building vehicles or parts. There's over 500 tool and die manufacturers here in Ontario. And we're supported by a great economic or great education system. There's over 35 universities and college that have automotive programs. And the diversity of the talent and workforce here is terrific to support this kind of growth and development for the global automotive industry.
I think that Canada is one of the leading edge in technology, especially in automotive industry, simply because we're really well positioned with a lot of research and development that happens here and the thirst for the entrepreneurial spirit. We have a lot of great innovators and a lot of great inventions that actually are spurred on right here.
I think Canada is very uniquely positioned from a total supply chain perspective. Here in Ontario and in Canada, we have access to minerals that are going to be key to an electrified future. All of the key components, that whole entire supply chain, all the way from getting minerals out of the ground to processing them into components that are important for the electrification of our powertrains, and then the transition to these new global platforms for electrified vehicles. I think we have the technology, the skill, and the talent to be able to do all of that here locally in Ontario.
Because we're making something of high quality over and over again, we're now able to leverage the technology in artificial intelligence to help us understand how to make products that we could have never achieved 10 years ago. And this is happening now.
So the technology in the Ontario manufacturing industry is forever changing, as seen by my autonomous intelligent vehicle, which we are using to move around the plant and to pick up and deliver parts. In the very near future, we hope to actually see them on the plant floor, interacting with all of our employees in our robot cells. And that even further from that, we can then see them, multiple of them be implemented, and see the progression of innovation that is happening in the auto manufacturing industry.
Women in the workplace actually foster us to become more innovative because we're inclusive to all the different types of thinking. And especially in this case, we want to encourage more women into our workplace.
My biggest accomplishment so far in our field is forming a culture where I have so many nationalities under me as a supervisor, and to see all of them come together and we could work as a union, try to understand them. If they don't speak proper English, I have somebody else that will translate, and patient mentorship, all these things that I can do at our field. I think that would have me still going. To me, as a woman in the automotive industry, I feel powerful. I feel I am open to anything that I want to do. I have the confidence that I can do anything. It's
our job to explain that to women and let them know that we're a very diverse culture. And we have an environment here that we can encourage women to work in all fields, whether they want to be a production team member, a skilled maintenance member, an engineer, or working in our administration departments. There are many opportunities to grow and work with us here at Toyota.
There's exciting growth happening in the manufacturing sector in Canada, and it's an exciting time to be a woman in manufacturing. Do you want to help increase the number of women in manufacturing? CME's We Can Do It campaign aims to increase the number of women in manufacturing by 100,000 in the next 5 years. Become a champion and pledge your support by visiting womeninmanufacturing.ca. Together, we can do it.
So thank you for rolling that video. I hope, can everybody see my screen now? We always have to check in this digital world that we're doing the right thing. Everybody can see it?
Not yet, Rhonda.
Oh, you can't see it yet? Oh, this is always the fear, isn't it?
Yeah.
Try one more time, share screen. Here we go.
There you go.
Okay. Apologies for these delays. Let me get set up there. Okay, thank you. What a privilege it is to be with you today. I had the honor of traveling to Monterrey in, I think, January of 2019 with Owit Toronto, and to give a keynote to you in Monterrey. And I know when we were there, we were talking about this trade mission and having you come to Toronto and showing you our sector and, you know, our culture. Unfortunately, we're having to do this virtually, so I hope that you'll be able to garner enough of our culture and our business to fully understand the unique opportunities for women in manufacturing and trade in Canada. That's really what I'm here to talk about. So I think others throughout the day are going to speak maybe a little more technically. I'm going to give you some of that, and certainly the video is intended to kind of showcase a bit of the sector. I'm going to give you a synopsis of the sector, but you know, I speak best when I speak about things I'm really passionate about. That is the manufacturing sector, and it's about women and women's role in the sector and how we can improve upon that. And I know when I talked to you 2 years ago, I started that conversation, and you're very excited about what we were doing in Canada. So I want to excite you even more about our progress, you know, and I'm really looking forward to really enhancing your views of business in Canada, because really we're here to talk about how we can do business together, how you could consider investment in Canada. You know, I think we have a very unique opportunity with our free trade agreement within North America. It was NAFTA, it's now CUSMA, that, you know, others will speak about that, but my views on that is we have this unique opportunity in North America to be this trading bloc where we can work together as 3 countries to compete with the world. And certainly the auto sector clearly demonstrates this. It's a very integrated sector. So manufacturing in Canada, it's the second biggest sector in Canada after oil and gas. It really matters to the economy, and economy-wide, we're about 10% of our GDP, 10% of employment, almost 1.7 million workers work in the sector, and we pay above average wage. And we make, you know, a lot of the investments in particular in R&D in the country. So it's a vital sector. And for every job in this sector, there's 3 other jobs created, you know, throughout the supply chain and service chain to directly get our products to market. So it's really important. The automotive sector, the video is intended to give you more of a synopsis of that. You know, it's a very vibrant part of our manufacturing sector. We're lucky to have it condensed in a corridor here in Ontario that makes it very accessible. You can fly into the Toronto airport, and within 1 or 2 hours, you're within these 5 major auto plants and these 700 parts suppliers and these 500 tool, die, and mold makers. It's quite an amazing sector. And you know, my company has the opportunity to work in that sector. It's about 50% of my own business. I work with all of the big 5, we call them here in Canada. I work with all of them, and I work with a lot of the tier 1 and 2 suppliers providing automation solutions. And I do that as well in the United States and in Mexico. So again, we're working together to be this tremendous trading bloc and to compete with the world. So the automotive sector, you can see it's big, and it's vitally important to our economy, and it's very integrated with the US and with your economy as well in terms of parts supplies. This is just a slide from the big 5 has their own association, the Canadian Auto Vehicle Manufacturers, and this is kind of their promo about the investments that have just been announced. So just in the last year, there's been $5.7 billion of announcements made by the big 5, especially in electrification of cars. So we're seeing, you know, a real shift in transportation, sustainable transportation, and Canada's playing a very leading part in that. You know, because we have this historical legacy sector that's still very dynamic and vibrant, but we also have access to the minerals and components that are going to be involved in electrification of vehicles. So again, another big win for Canada in this sector, and a reason to do business here. But I want to turn my attention really to women in the sector, and why it's important for women in Mexico to consider doing business here in Canada, because that's my passion project, is really to advance women in the economy through this sector. So I want to just give you a brief history of women in Canadian manufacturing, so you can sort of have a lens of our progression, because I know you're trying to do something similar. So our sector is about 300 years old in Canada, and women have been there the whole time. They've just been a small portion. We started out in the textile industry in Quebec in the 1700s. By the late 1800s, there were 50% of the labor force of what was called light manufacturing, things like tobacco and textiles, things that were not heavy. Women were very well represented there. They may not have been treated equally, but they were well represented. By the early 1900s, women made up 13% of the total paid labor force. So it's an issue that women have had around paid labor, certainly in our history and in all countries, I think. And by 1909, though, the Women's Labor League was formed in Canada. And so a lot's changed since then. By World War I, there was a call to action for women to enter the factories and take on the roles that men had as they were out in the war, and women came into the factories. And since that time, it's just progressed. So World War II, again, a lot of women in the factories. We had what you can see on the right-hand side, the Rosie the Riveter campaign came out across North America. We can do it. It was really to inspire women to the sector. So now, after that, where's progress in Canada? Well, we're making a lot of progress, and there's still more to be made. But just over 50 years ago in Canada, we had a Royal Commission on the Status of Women, and it's been fundamental to change the rights for women in Canada and for us to be leaders in the world around women's rights and equality. So they looked at a whole bunch of things that needed to be changed, and all of these things are being acted on. The gender pay gap that countries experience, we had that here in Canada. In 1975, a woman made 60 cents to a man's dollar. But in 1977, we had a Human Rights Act on equal pay. And now, we're getting very close to pay equity in Canada. In 1978, this is the one that just boggles my mind as we look at history. A progressive country like Canada eliminated pregnancy as a basis for dismissal. So women have fought the good fight to be equal in the workplace. And the fact that at one time, the fact that you were pregnant and carrying a child and the next generation meant you could be dismissed from your job is a bit outrageous, but that did happen. We've made a lot of progress since then. So, by 1995 in Canada, women are 50% of the labor force, and they are, 500,000 workers in the Canadian manufacturing sector, but only 27% of our manufacturing labor force. And that's had stalled. When I talked to you a couple of years ago, it had stalled. So we're working really hard to change that because we have such a great sector. And this is where trade happens in Canada. We make things, we take things out of the ground, we add value to them, and we trade them around the world. So it's a vibrant sector. So in 2017, was when we started this work, we had just under 500,000 women working in the sector, around 28% of the workforce. We launched We Can Do It. It's a modern day Rosie the Riveter campaign to add 100,000 women to the sector. We were doing, great things. We'd actually added about 40,000 women to the sector in about 18 months. And then of course the pandemic hit, and that changed things around the world, especially for women. We saw a lot of women leave the workforce because of the demands of unpaid care in the home to keep elders and school children going. So we saw that here in Canada too, but because of the great work we're doing, we had a swift recovery in our sector around women, and we've brought back so many of those jobs, 115,000 jobs that women lost. And we're only sitting at about a delta right now of under 20,000 jobs from the high water mark that we had. So now it's time for us to double down and continue our work here in Canada to advance women in this sector. So we just had a budget in Canada, which is an exciting point to consider. And it had a very strong gender lens to it. And we've put something on the table here in Canada called a National Childcare Strategy. So this is a budget commitment we hope to see come to fruition. It's a place I'm working. It's going to mean that more women and young women can come back to work full-time to high-value, meaningful jobs if we have very affordable childcare in Canada. So this is I was looking for a picture with some Canadian flags. So this is a couple of women in my own team, in my own factory, just to let you know that actually Canada was just listed in 2021 as the #1 country in the world by the Best Countries annual evaluation through the United States. And we hit the high water mark on so many categories because in Canada, we're really balancing social and economic aspects for Canadians. We have a high standard of living, high educated population, high rate of employment, and high quality of life. So again, Canada's just a really great place to consider. So the work that I'm doing to empowering women is really what I wanted to touch on and to leave you with today, and to kind of inspire you along the path in Mexico as well. I'm happy to help you with your campaigns to advance women in these male-dominated sectors. So this is kind of where I lead people. Why would you want to be part of the manufacturing sector? Well, there's power in diversity. We all know that. And these are the jobs of the future. Manufacturing, as you saw in the video and you see in your own facilities, it's high tech. It's not dirty, dangerous, outdated. It's modern and it's innovative. And we have robots and AI and automation, and it's an exciting sector to work in. So there's a tremendous economic empowerment for women in this sector because we pay above average wages as well. And when I'm speaking to young women, I say, be the change makers and make important things better. We're in a manufacturing renaissance right now where we're looking at sustainable products like electric vehicles, like different fuels for airplanes. So, I think it's a really exciting time if you want to make a difference. So this is why I want all of you to be inspiring women in your own sector to join and to foster this movement of adding women to our sector, because we're going to build better things more effectively when we have a diverse workforce. And the closing point on this slide is really that Canada is leading the way on diversity inclusion around the world. You can see this over and over in the policies that are being put forward here in Canada and the budget commitments in Canada that, we mean it. We want true equality for men and women in our country and in our sectors. It's not without problems, though. We face obstacles. And this is actually a slide that the photo is a picture of me and my family doing what's called a mud run for cancer. Well, between the last time I saw you and today, I faced cancer myself. I faced breast cancer just ahead of the pandemic. And so it's just a reminder that, there's always obstacles for women. That was one of mine, but there's obstacles systemic in patriarchal societies that we have to break down. There's glass ceilings, the demands of unpaid care, lack of visible role models is a place that I'm trying to really make a difference. There's business culture issues, patriarchal structures, and so many biases that we're trying to overcome. And the biggest one can always be our own lack of self-confidence. So what are we doing to fight all of that? We're doing a lot of things in Canada. And as the video said, we have a website, womeninmanufacturing.ca. It has the toolkit. I think I talked to you about that 2 years ago, but we've really expanded that work. So we're looking at, big strategic imperatives to make a difference for women in our sector. There's these 5 pillars. And if you go to our website, you can see a whole bunch of resources that you can use in these 5 pillars to really dig in and make a difference at these different points in the career trajectory. Like we have to get people when they're young to think about keeping them their minds open to STEM and trades. And we have to then attract them to our sector. And when we get them there, we have to make sure that we keep them and that we advance them. So there's a lot of work to be done. So, what have we done to date since I last talked to you? We have a huge national working group. Again, we have the website. We have our We Can Do It campaign. We've relaunched that because we're going to commit to add another. We're going to reset where we are now after the pandemic, and we're going to add 100,000 women in 5 years. We were already well on our way. We're going to hit a huge high watermark here in Canada. And in part, we're going to be able to deliver that because of our federal government's commitment to a national childcare strategy. We think that's fundamental in adding more women to our sector. We have our toolkit. We're creating mentorship guidelines that'll be available free. We want to share that with your country, and we want to help you advance this as well. We have a lot of stories that we're trying to share, and they're available on the website. And we'd love to hear your stories and share international stories as well, because that's what this is all about. We're hosting open doors around our country. We think this is what really matters. We want to bring young people into our factories. So the video we made today, we'll hope to use that again to showcase to young women, you know, what the factories look like. And I want to thank Global Affairs for sponsoring that video as well. I think that'll be a great asset to highlight the sector and women in the sector. And of course, we're working collaboratively with our government every day. So what's our next steps in our Women in Manufacturing initiative? It's, you know, this childcare initiative, it's transformative. And we think it'll make Canada a better, stronger place. We have in Quebec, we have modeled this out in a province next to Ontario. They've had a provincial child care strategy that makes economic sense. So we want to see this national child care strategy roll out and really help women stay elevated in the economy, not looking for the part-time work and you know, juggling things to adjust for childcare. That childcare is strong and it's affordable, so you can attain a higher wage in the economy. That's really a big thing in Canada. We're really working to influence curriculum reform, especially in skilled trades in Canada. You know, I think we're all seeing around the world, we need more skilled labor, and we have to find new ways to train them more quickly. We want to better showcase our sector to students again with open doors, and you'll see lots more of that. And we'd love to share that with you collaboratively across our countries. And we're just in the process of creating peer councils in each province in our country where women can come together and share problems, share stories, share solutions, and kind of mentor each other. We think that's a really powerful way to convene women to make a difference. And we're just about to launch in September. You'll see on our website some very specific leadership training and business services geared specifically to women. So we have a training institute here in Canada through CME, and we have federal funding that's going to allow us to have women leadership courses offered. So very excited about that. I'm always looking to inspire people to this campaign. You know, we'd love for you to join our campaign, to take a pledge that diversity matters. You can do that through our website. And, you know, we want voices to be heard. We want people to join our cause, and we want other countries to take hold of this as well. And I know you're very interested 2 years ago. So, you know, I'm excited to share this with you and inspire you to further the cause that, you know, making things in your country and through our country, working together in women in trade, women in manufacturing. To me, they're one and the same. We make things, we trade them around the world. Let's get more women involved in this. And if you're a woman thinking about, you know, working with Canadian business as a supplier, as a partner, investing, it's a really great place. Women are treated really well, and there's, you know, a great open market here. So again, we're going to increase our workforce here in Canada by 100,000 women in the next 5 years. So if you are looking to invest in Canada, there's great opportunities and funding opportunities for women to join your workforce. Just imparting, you know, in empowering women, we talk a lot in our sector very technically about technology gaps and skills gaps. So I'm really getting people to think now about business and cultural gaps to foster diversity and inclusion. That's my next piece of work around the world. I may share some of that with you another day. I have a different presentation that I share on that front, but, you know, really each of us, our countries need to leverage the full population to compete and to grow. So we need to bring women along with us. And Canada is leading the way, and we hope that you'll be interested in working with us. As was said in my bio, if you can see me, you can be me. It really is my mantra. It's why I come and speak in these engagements. I want people to see powerful role models, really trying to inspire other people, make a difference. I hope that you can do that and carry the torch that I carry, because there's nothing incredibly special about me. I'm from a working class family. I had no privilege, and I've made a really successful career. And maybe I'll share that story with you again sometime as well. But I think that's all the time we have today. Be happy to answer any questions. You can reach out to me on those handles there. But, I'd like to just close in saying that, if you can see me, you can be me. But the campaign is we can do it. We will do it. So let's go do it. Let's do it together. Let's do it together, Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rhonda, for this powerful presentation. You are surely making the difference for women in your area. Thank you so much. And I do have one question right now from the audience, and it's a very good question. Let me just ask you, as a woman in the manufacturing sector, what was your greatest challenge to overcome when starting your career? What will your number one piece of advice to a woman in Mexico or Canada starting her career in the manufacturing?
Yeah, well, it's hard to answer just one without telling my whole story, but I think generally women lack confidence for some reason, or their confidence is expressed in different ways or nurtured in different ways. So it's one thing that I really try to nurture in young people when I'm talking to them, is to how to build their confidence, how to stretch them. So I think we know in Canada, and I think it's actually around the world, that if there's a job ad, so I've learned this through LinkedIn. Actually, I was out in California and learned this, that I think for a job ad, like if there's 100% of men, how does it work? So if a man's applying, he might only have 60% of the qualifications of the job, and he will apply. And they can prove this through all the data of the resumes, et cetera. But a woman needs to have at least 85% of the credentials to even apply for the job. So women undersell themselves, especially in male-dominated industries. So you need to kind of cement that in your head, that you're always maybe thinking a little bit less of yourself. And certainly that was my case as well. Like, I started in the sector in the accounting office. I had a degree in mathematics, didn't quite know what to do with it. But it was sponsorship that really, and I have a different presentation on that, but the value of sponsorship, and I had men sponsor me and see the potential in me, and that knew that I could do more, and sponsored me for that next more technical job. And that's how I really got a lift, and I kept getting a lift through sponsorship and mentorship. So you really arm yourself with sponsors and mentors. When you get into a facility, make sure there's people around you that will help you move forward, that company believes in the power of diversity. Ask them about that. These are the kinds of things that I talk about in Canada.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your answer. Let me just see if there's any other question here for you, Rhonda. Let's see. Okay, I don't have any more questions. So that's it. Thank you so much, Rhonda, for being here. We surely appreciate your time and your powerful words. Thank you so much. And now I will go ahead and show you the diploma for your presentation today. And thank you again for being here.
Thanks again for the opportunity. Feel free to reach out.